The GCC has long dominated the global hydrocarbon market and continues to play a critical role in shaping the direction of the industry. With its vast oil and gas reserves, the GCC remains well placed to power both the upstream and downstream sector and set the agenda for a greater push towards cleaner energy adoption locally, regionally, and globally. The story of oil in the Middle East is not a contemporary tale, but began a long time ago. The first oil discovery in the region was in 1931 at an oil well in the remote Jebel Dukhan area of Bahrain. Soon, one by one, each of the other GCC countries made their own discoveries, paving the way towards a radical transformation across the region. And then in 2016, a new regional initiative was undertaken to further strengthen the association of these countries, and Bahrain was chosen as its headquarters due to the kingdom's strategic location. The Gulf Downstream Association, or GDA, was founded by Saudi Aramco, Bahrain Petroleum Company, Kuwait Petroleum International, Kuwait National Petroleum Company, and Abu Dhabi National Oil Company as a non-profit organization that will serve as a catalyst for strong and sustainable growth of the downstream industry and provide a viable platform for knowledge sharing and best practice.
The idea of GDA started a few years back, mainly to promote the cooperation and the coordination between the oil industries in the downstream field to ensure that we have a vehicle within the GCC to share practices, share lessons learned.
The Gulf Downstream Association, it's bring a lot of experience of industry. We are focusing into bringing these experience together and putting these companies into the perspective and its real position in the oil and gas industry.
GDA's formation provides the springboard for effective partnerships across the region that will build on the strengths of each member organization in preparing a world-class workforce that can meet the challenges of tomorrow, and most crucially, help in creating a voice for the region on international platforms by being innovative, by creating a knowledge hub, and serving as a reference point for all stakeholders.
Our approach is very simple. If I have an area of excellence that I've excelled in, then it only makes sense that among the different companies within the GCC that we will be able to share and all of us excelling at the same time.
The key to GDA's long-term success will be the values that guide its operations, as well as the main propositions that drive its appeal.
Year 2018, we are looking to develop other conferences that will add value to our founding companies and members.
Members have access to a rich repository of valuable information through GDA's very own portal, possibility to attend or opportunity to conduct industry-related technical or leadership events, share knowledge and experience and adopt best practice to pave the way for greater sustainability that includes tapping the invaluable expertise of the senior transitional workforce, enhance communication between members to help foster good relations with global industries and associations, provide a voice for members to strengthen the three pillars of strategy: industry, government, and education.
GDA will provide for us an excellent forum to achieve operational excellence in our respective companies in areas like maintenance efficiency, personnel efficiency, energy efficiency, as well as capital efficiency and project execution.
The GDA is starting with the Arabian Gulf, of course, but we are also starting big, and we're already interacting with all the multinationals. And the technologists are really going to be an important part of our membership portfolio, the EPC as well. And this is where we feel our strength is, by getting the stakeholders together, networking, identifying the business and technical challenges.
GDA is poised to be the perfect platform for future generations in the GCC. For the youth in the oil, gas and refining sector, it will prepare them for tomorrow's challenges, as well as help them manage the daily hectic demands of this innovative and rewarding industry. The choice is now in our hands. Opportunities are all around us, and together with the GDA, we can create a stronger and more sustainable downstream industry. GDA. Share and excel.
السلام عليكم، مساكم الله بالخير.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام دكتورنا العزيز.
أهلا فيك حبيبي.
الله بالخير و welcome all. Good day all, and I hope you and whom you dare stay safe with good health inshallah. Welcome to conversation series of the Gulf Downstream Association, the GDA, which is a non-profit association which was established in the year 2016 in Bahrain by 5 founding members, which are ADNOC Refining, Bahrain Petroleum Company Babco, Kuwait National Petroleum Company KNPC, Kuwait Petroleum International KPI, and Saudi Aramco. Let me, if you don't mind, share with you the plan of today's webinar. Our speaker, whom we are proud of, will take almost 40 minutes to share an interesting topic, which is titled Organizational Project Management, Assessment and Continuous Improvement for Strategy Realization. During the presentation, there will be a live poll for some questions that we are expecting your interaction and effective contribution as well. You can also use the chat or the Q&A box on the right side of your screen in case you have some questions to raise or knowledge to share. Please try to share, if you don't mind. Specific, clear, and short questions so we can be able to read and understand fast. In the last 20 minutes of today's webinar, we will have Q&A session for questions raised during either the presentation or during the Q&A session. Having shared the plan, today for me and for you, I am sure, is a special day as we are hosting an intellectual and capital human asset, Dr. Saadi Adra, who is the founder and CEO of Advisors. Dr. Saadi, mashallah, has been accredited 7 certifications from the BMI, in addition to his PhD degree in project management and programs as well. Welcome, Dr. Saadi, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, first of all, for this introduction. I'm just going to start the presentation. I'd like to thank my friend and brother, Mr. Imad Al-Haysen, who's a division head at Aramco, and he's also the chairman for the project management committee at GDA. And thank you very much for the way you introduced me. I think this is a little bit too much. Thank you. So tonight we're going to speak about several things. 4 topics mainly. What is organizational project management? This is a very interesting topic, not too much covered, okay? And then assessments, why do we do them? When do we do them? Improvement planning and implementation. And finally, how do we realize the strategy between organization project management and operation excellence? So this will be our agenda for tonight. So I would like to start with the poll, okay? And within this poll, we're gonna have, let me turn it on. Okay, for each of the polls, please do not write answers in the chat box, but rather look for the specific button for the poll and use that so that we can have the numbers, the statistics. And as you will see, all the options contain project, program, portfolio management, and organizational enablers. OEs actually are like the part of operation that interfaces and intersects with project management. It is the interface between the permanent structure and the temporary structure, although portfolio is not a temporary structure, as we will find out in a bit. Then each one of the following, the next has additional benefit realization. The third option has PMOs. The fourth option has sponsorship. And the last one includes as well strategy realization. So I see the numbers almost getting fixed more or less, and the poll. Okay, now I'm happy that 54%, over half, decided that organization project management is about all of these, including strategy realization. And yes, it is. Now, to support this claim, this is what we're gonna speak about next. So, to proceed furthermore, when we speak about organizational project management, we always tend to start from the strategy of the organization. Why? Because portfolio is a very important component. And within portfolios, okay, why do we have portfolios in the first place? What is the mission of a portfolio? It is to realize the strategy, okay? It is not a collection of projects and programs, a mere collection. Somebody who manages several projects is a projects manager. For him to be a portfolio manager, he has to work upstairs, to work with top management, with a board of portfolio. Beneath it, there will be programs, and there will be projects, and as well, as you might see, let me just shift myself to the left, okay? As you might see, also operations, and this is something we're gonna discuss in detail. And we'll find out that the various projects under programs or under portfolio, along with operations, they have shared resources and shared stakeholders. One of the fallacies that are widely spread is the fact, or it's not a fact, that a project manager is the reason behind a project success or failure. He is not. The one behind the project success or failure is the organization, the whole organization. And this is why when we want to implement the discipline of project management, hence organizational project management, the whole organization will be the reason why a project succeeds and also why a project fails. And we're gonna see more details in this respect in a bit. So, to have things in brief, I believe this is widely common. What is project management? It's about doing things right. It's about the muscles, getting things done, moving mountains. This is the role of project management. Whereas portfolio management is about doing the right things, making the right selections, and it takes two to tango. You need somebody upstairs who will make the right decision and somebody who will be able to implement correctly. When we make the right decision as an organization, and then we have the right muscles to execute properly, we will realize the strategy. And there's also another angle, which is about the sustainability of the organization, of the benefits. This is why we have the concept of program management, which is about change. Why do we change the organization? We change to survive, we change to grow, okay? And to sustain the benefits that are actually the outputs and outcomes of projects and programs. And we're gonna speak also more about this to put them all in one shot, okay? Portfolio, doing right things, project management, doing things right, and program management, sustaining the right benefits. This sounds amazing, but it's not enough. So let's move on. When we speak about the whole strategy realization, we always start from the top, the vision, the mission, and the organizational strategy and objectives, along with their KPIs. Now, the way things were managed before was very much siloed, because we had a department to a portfolio that manages all the projects beneath, and operational management that manages all the operation beneath. And they sort of speak with each other and share organizational resources. But this was not working properly. Why? Because by default, we are instilling silos. And for us to succeed, we have to integrate. We have to integrate above. We have to integrate in the middle. And we have to integrate downstairs. We have to work within an integrated life cycle to break all these silos. So the better working framework or model is to utilize portfolio, not as we've seen it utilized in the past years in several locations, just to manage projects, but rather to manage both projects and programs. Hence, portfolio management works closely with the people who craft the strategy. But one thing, portfolio management is not about crafting the strategy. It's about realizing the strategy through both projects and programs. How? If you read with me the details downstairs, you have something called here increasing value production capability. Each time a project or a program succeeds, they provide a certain capability for us. And this capability or capacity alone does not produce the benefit for the organization. Who reaps the benefit? The operation people, the other side, the management of ongoing operation, the recurring activities, projects and programs, empower them, and they will realize the benefit, they will produce the value. These are the two arms we need in every organization to succeed. So the whole concept here is that projects do not exist alone on their own. Okay, on their own, they don't do much. And when we manage them as a separate entity, there is a PMO in the North Pole, and they are responsible for projects. Let's do our business as usual. That does not work in this manner. The big organizations, the large organizations that succeeded, like Aramco, for example, in managing huge programs and projects and initiatives, finishing on time, on budget, realizing sustainable benefits for them and for the country, they integrated properly between projects and operations. So, to move on, let us I'm gonna show you how we can instill or do this within specific framework or a framework of systems. So if you look with me, we have the organizational environment where we have, like usual, we have the strategy. Based on the strategy, we have the portfolio, the value proposition or determination, the selection and the supervision over initiatives, projects, programs, and we're gonna see how operations is affected directly. And within these, each time a project or a program succeeds, we have a portfolio KPI which becomes green or positive. But alone does not do much because the outcome, the benefit is taken by operations. And when operations realize the value and the benefit, we realize the strategy of the whole organization. So let us show you how this can be implemented. The first component I'm bringing is let me just move myself, okay? The first component is we call it the Agile Organizational Development Framework. Why? Organization development framework, because we use this framework in order to develop any type of system, even for operations, not only for projects. We use it mainly for projects, for portfolios, programs, projects, PMOs, and so on. And it is composed of 6 phases. The first one is the assessment and gap analysis. This is very vital. This is very important. We're going to speak about it in more detail later on. So I'm going to skip it for now. Then the second one is to speak about the management framework, the governance, how we integrate, who should do what, when. Following that, now we speak about processes, how to simplify, how to integrate processes together. And only after this, we speak about the software, about the systems, the information systems, not before. One big problem is that I've seen in many places, they want to show the minister that we are advanced, we are digitized, we have a system, we have a PMO. So in 1 month, they implement a dashboard, and somebody in the back office is keying in data on Excel or some application. This is not right. The data should come from downstairs, from all the location, from the performance of projects and programs, up to the portfolios. Then the KPIs are affected of both portfolios and operations. Then we can have a good dashboard that provides real visibility. And without visibility, people upstairs cannot make the right decision. So after we do that, of course, we have the capacity building, the localization, the trainer, the sharing and moving the knowledge to provide sustainability, and finally the rollout. So why is this called an agile framework? Agile simply because we do not wait until we do everything to go to operations. Each time we finish a system or we do it quickly, even if it's not perfected, because now time is always of the essence. You see that intersection, organizational development and operations. So each time we have a system semi-finalized, it goes to rollout, even if it's not perfect. Then we are doing another system in parallel, and with iterations, we are enhancing the first system, and so on. Okay, so this goes on, and it is utilized for several developing several systems. So we're gonna put this in place of to develop our projects and programs, the organization development framework, although it is utilized for everything, even for developing the portfolio, the benefit realization, and whatnot. Then the other component, when we speak about portfolio management, one thing about, when we speak about, for example, PMI is a very, very rich organization and knowledge. They have over 30 guidelines and standards and books and other documents and reports. What makes me feel bad is that many look at the PMI as if they are only the PIM book. No, the PIM book is only one building block. We need it. It's basic. It's very important, but it's not everything. It's not how we manage projects as an organization. We need to utilize the other standards and guidelines. And one of the most important ones is portfolio management, which has initiation phases, which has planning, execution, and optimization. And this is where the project charter or the program charter is born, within the various phases of portfolio management. And this is where we monitor the health, not only of one project, of many projects. You see, we have an authorization, and this is the charter. Then you find the processes of the PIM book, where the project manager has his authority to start, and then he's doing the reporting through the monitor and control process, which goes to the health check within the execution of a portfolio. And within the optimization, we might do one of two things. Maybe a project or program is successful, so they provide all the end results, the utilities, the facilities, the products, the services, and they do proper handover and training to operation, who will take them and reap the benefit for the organization. But at the same time, when we have maybe 100 different projects and programs running on, maybe some of them are not perfect. Maybe some of them, not because the project manager is bad, maybe the strategy changed. COVID-19 came. Suddenly, tourism projects or transportation projects are not as important as agribusiness, as health, as manufacturing, as localization, as digitization. They are still important, but maybe we have priorities. We have to shift them. And because of that, we might stop or put on hold some of the projects which were yesterday extremely important, so as we can utilize the scarce resources for the projects, for the things we need most for our health, our food, and our sustainability as a community and as a government. So this is why, in this perspective, we kill projects here, okay? And sometimes maybe a project is not the right one, is not managed properly, maybe we kill it to redefine it. So this is another system, and let's put it at the portfolio place. Then what do we do with the other two, with operations? Before I speak about the operation and strategy, I'm including here another model, another framework, which is called the Strategy Implementation Roadmap. We had a nice panel 3 weeks ago. I was there, and Antonio Neto Rodriguez, who is the co-founder for Strategy Implementation Institute, they have a certification by APMG, and they are focusing on strategy realization. Antonio, by the way, is a very known person in the world of project management. He's an author. He used to be chairman for PMI in 2016. And just lately, he signed to write the next book by Harvard Business Review. So congratulations, Antonio, again. And also Mark Langley. Now, Mark, I'm sitting in front of Mark. Okay, let me move a bit. So Mark Langley was the president and CEO for PMI from 2010 till 2018. So together we introduced the strategy implementation framework, which I will be talking about now. So where do we put this? We put it at the strategy side. How does it work? You're gonna wait a bit, please, okay? Because I'm gonna explain the details for this later on in our discussion tonight. And the fourth aspect is benefit realization. Benefit realization, a very important term. Much more important than many other systems, yet a little bit vague. Why vague? Because I know lots of organizations, they suffer. They try to measure something intangible, did not happen, will not happen, not before the project and the program is over. So how do we measure it? There are ways, there are means, okay? We can measure its enablers, for example. Now, I'm not gonna speak about the model in detail, but it connects very well because it talks about strategy, objective, initiative, output, outcomes, benefits, and value. And guess what? It does not happen alone. One big mistake that many do. Now, benefit realization is very important. Okay, let's get a consultant, please implement benefit realization. They make a manual and now you have a benefit realization. No, it does not happen as a standalone. It is part of the organization. It is integrated with the strategy. It is integrated with operations, and it is integrated with projects and programs and PMOs. So having all these four together, now we have a framework to help us realize this strategy. We tackled various aspects within the organization using these four different frameworks. And this gets me to this point. What is the objective of organizational project management? The objective is two things. We want our projects to be successful. But how many times projects were successful, but organizations did not realize or meet their strategic objectives? Which gets us to the second point. We need our projects to be successful, and by being successful, we want to realize our strategy. And this is the bridge that bridges organization strategy to successful projects. Successful projects will get us to realize the strategy. Now, assessment, why and when. I really love this cartoon, okay? I know this is pre-COVID-19 because maybe if it was COVID-19, all the doctors would be dead. Bayd al-Shar. And this got us to the poll number 2. The second poll, okay? Why do we do assessments? To identify problems and pains, to conduct a gap analysis, to enhance maturity, to develop improvement plans, or to realize strategy. Now, this is a very tricky questions, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because they are all correct answers. And what I want you is to select the one which is, let's say, the most important or the end result. Okay? So I'll give you like some 10 seconds, think about it, and put your answers. So looks like stabilizing. Okay. So let me give you 5 more seconds. Okay. Still toggling a bit. And I will stop it now. So the result shows that 27% realized strategy, 25% develop improvement plans, identify problems and pains, conduct gap analysis, enhance maturity. As I told you, we do an assessment for all of these. But what is the driver? Why does an organization pay money for or assign resources for an internal assessor or pay money for an external assessor? Simple, to realize the strategy. We identify problems and pains that prohibit us from achieving our strategy. We conduct the gap analysis to calculate the difference between our status, where we are, and where we want to reach in our strategy. We enhance the maturity of our processes, not for the sake of maturity, for the sake of realizing our objectives. And we develop improvement plans to tackle the weaknesses we have, all in order to realize the strategy. Then, why do we assess? When we do an assessment, ultimately, we want to resolve problems. I call them the pains that keep you awake at night, the problems that keep CEOs or C-level awake at night, and there are many, the nightmares, and also to help us to move ahead to realize our strategy. Now, in order to achieve that, we focus on 4 points when you speak about an assessment. The one which is to me the most important, before I speak about weakness, let me discover my strengths. Let me discover the existing good practices, practices that are working for us as an organization, and at the same time, they map to international standards, or some call them best practices. I know in the States, they love to use best practices. In Europe, they hate the term best practices, because to them, it means that there will not be more, okay? Irrespective, let's identify, I call these the keepers. These are the capabilities that we have. When we go to an organization and try to help them, first of all, there's nothing called like the old format C, okay, for the computer. No. You have to realize that this is an organization. It's providing results. It's providing responsibility. Yes, they might have problems, and we will help in the problems. The first thing is to know what are the things that is part of their culture and part of their practices, and these are the keepers. We will build upon them. Then we need to learn 3 more things. We need to identify missing practices, things they did not do before. Like, for example, many organizations never utilized a database for estimation. They only use Excel. And if you tell them, no, you have to have a database for your estimation, the estimation managers and people fight you. Why? We are happy, we know our system, but they are the system. When they go away, nobody understands. And how can we collaborate across teams when we have thousands in large organizations on Excel? It does not happen properly this manner. We have to change in order to identify what is missing and acquire it. Then also there are weak practices, things that are, sometimes we call them low-hanging fruits. Maybe we have some good practices, need a little bit of tweaking here and there, a little bit of support. These are not costly usually, but can reap quick wins, which is important. And the hardest part is to identify residual harming habits. Sometime before in our organization, there was a need to make a decision. There's no policy for that decision. The people at that moment, they worked and thought together and made a decision. The people who came after them, they looked, when something happens like this, we use this way. Maybe contextually, in that time, it was a good practice, but it does not mean it can be generalized. This is how organizations gain bad habits, things that need change. And these are very, very hard. We have to change the culture. We have to do transformation. These are the hardest. So whenever we want to start working on any improvement, I don't tend to start with these. These are the hardest. Let's do some quick wins. Let's win trust. Let's trust the system that it works, and then we can move ahead. So we proceed. When we talk about OPM, PMI has a framework called Organization Project Management Maturity Model. Now, the application and the certification was terminated, but the framework is still there. And it talks about 3 gears. The first one is about knowledge, about best practices. The second one is about evaluation and assessment. And the third one is about improvement. And the nice thing about this, the concept is that it is evidence-based. What do we mean by evidence-based? If I ask the PMO director, show me the standard that you have for procurement, for selection, or procurement department for selection of contractors, for example. How do you assess them? Okay, how do you give them scores? And he says, yes, we have a system. I need to see it. If I don't see it, it does not exist. So it's evidence-based. It's rigorous. Why? It includes a lot of corroboration. We don't just consider a fact what we hear from one person. We have to hear it from more than one person. So we ask the same question to multiple people in multiple levels. And by doing that, we discover these practices that exist and the ones that are missing. And there is a framework for it for corroboration. I'm not going to go into that now to proceed. Now, poll number 3. We have in our organization, we conducted an assessment, and the result came the following. What is the first pain you should address? I'm not talking about all these are legitimate pains, are important pains, but I'm asking you now, what is the one which you will start with? And I'm starting the poll. The first one is resource allocation problems, portfolio sponsorship competency problems, like competency of the top management of the leaders, dual strategy conflicts, and I've seen this, some organizations, they have more than one strategy competing, one for the organizations upstairs or outside or bodies from outside, and one internal. Silos between VRO, we mean by Vision Realization Office. If you don't have it considered like a strategic office, divisions within organization, and executive office for the CEO or chairman, for example. Digitization lag, they are behind in terms of digitization. And the last one is exceeding budget. So I want you to tell me, what is the first pain you will start with? And I'm seeing numbers moving on. Okay. I'm gonna give you 10 more seconds. So please hurry up and make your decisions. Because I know Imad wants to stop me up after 7 minutes, but I need more, Imad, please, okay? So I'm gonna end the poll. Okay, so number 1 is dual strategy conflict. Yes, this is a huge problem. This is a very big problem. And number 2 is silos. This is also a big problem. Number 3 is portfolio sponsorship competency. Then we have resource allocation, exceeding budget, and digitization lag, 0%. Wow. Okay, let us look at my perspective, my opinion, and it's up to you to like it or not. I start with portfolio and sponsorship competency problems. Why? Yes, the dual strategy conflict is a huge problem, but who will solve it? If we don't have, we have a lot of knowledge for project managers. They took lots of training, But our bosses, our C-level, what training did they take? Did they take the right coaching? Do they know how to sponsor properly? And if they don't know how to support the projects and the programs and integrate them and craft the strategy, we will still have dual strategies, okay? Probably because we are working with two consultants, each one suggested one, and there are politics in every organization, so we have dual strategy, and it will take us nowhere. So we start with the head, with the competency of the boss, of the decision maker, of the board. Once they have the right knowledge, the right competency, they will attempt to resolve the dual strategy conflict. And number three, yes, as you have suggested, it's the silos. And once we do these, here is we look at the budget, because the budget is a constraint. And once we solve it, we know how much resources we can allocate. And the last one is the digitalization. Perhaps if we solve the problems before the digitalization lag, even the resource allocation would have been automatically solved. So this is just to give you an idea about the result. Now, the third part, which is continuous improvement, and we do this through the two frameworks I showed you, the organization development life cycle, which has 6 phases, 50 services, and the strategy implementation roadmap, which has 4 phases and 7 themes. Now, I'm gonna go quickly about each one. The first one, including assessment. This is like having lots of tools and techniques. You don't need to use them. You use whatever is enough for us to have a clear picture on our capabilities and weaknesses and bad habits and things that we are missing and good practices, as we said in the beginning. And then we conduct a gap analysis and a framework. We are walking, but not in the dark. Then the second thing is to talk about governance, the delegation of power, the integration between systems, between operations, between projects. This is vital. This is very important. When we miss the assessment and when we miss the governance aspect and go directly, yes, we want to establish a PMO or a strategic management office or a portfolio office, let's get a software. We utilize some processes that are aligned with the software, some training, and we have a dashboard. This is la la land. This is la la land. It's getting us nowhere. Okay, we have to do things the right way. They will take time. Yes, they will take time. Let them take the time they need, because this is the fastest way to achieve results and to realize strategy. Then the third one, we talk about process. And one thing about process, we have to digitize, we have to be simple, and we have to be fast and rapid and integrated. And we speak about processes. You find downstairs a couple of things like interface management, innovation, and so on. Not only the standard estimation, scheduling, and whatnot. And the fourth one is about the software, the dashboard, the project management information system, and any other information system, which comes to realize everything we designed so far. And of course, we have to work on capacity building, on training, train the trainer. Now, to me, we are successful when the organization does not need us anymore. This means we are successful. And this means you have to be generous and full knowledge transfer. And this does not happen at the end. It happens from day one. Then the last part is the rollout. And since we are working in an agile manner, you don't expect to be perfect from the first iteration. I expect you to be quick. Give me quick results, even if they are not 100% correct, and we'll do other iterations to perfect them. And this is where the role of the second framework comes in, the strategy implementation. Now, I have the fourth poll for you tonight before we speak about this and we finish. And the poll is the following. Yes, select the theme that has the highest impact on strategy realization. So here you have 7 themes, okay? Leadership excellence, financial value, business model, stakeholder management, culture evolution, employee engagement, and track performance. They are all important. They are all integrated. And they have this semi-Deming cycle, like crafting, embedding, executing, sustaining. Okay, it's a cyclical thing. Okay, they're not put in order. You're not going to implement them in the order they are. All are important, all are essential. This is a perspective that I want you to give me. What do you think is the most important one of these 7? So I'll give you 10 seconds for this. Sorry. I'm sorry. I listed poll, the third poll. I'm gonna turn it off, reset it. Excuse me, this is my mistake. I'm starting the poll now. Okay, if you answered, please answer again because this is the new one. Thank you very much. Sorry for this mistake. So I'm gonna give you like 20 seconds to think about it and select one of 7 which are correct. So I'm gonna end the poll in 5 seconds. Okay, and the poll. So the majority said leadership excellence, and then we have similar stakeholder management, culture evolution, employee engagement, very nice tie, a little bit about business model, track performance, and financial value. Well, they are all very important. I cannot say any of you is correct or any of you is wrong. It's a matter of perspective. Nevertheless, if you ask me my opinion, it is track performance. Why? Top CEOs, what do? When they want to realize their strategy, they conduct performance reviews. Some of them, they are cascaded on the division level every 2 weeks, a quarter for the whole organization, semi between them. And they always start by reviewing where we were, what were the tasks and recommendations from last time. Follow-up is very important. It's a very, very interesting skill, but very much missed. We don't tend to follow up. In many cases, when we build something, we tend to like do it fire and forget, okay? We build the PMO will get the project to succeed properly. We set the strategy will go on its own. Now, of course, yes, it requires leadership. It requires every one of the other themes. Nevertheless, I personally like the track performance. It actually gives results. So very quickly, we're gonna take only like 5 minutes to speak about the rest. When we speak about leadership excellence, what about leadership? Okay, leadership is very important. Now, a leader, he carries on the whole team by himself. I love this. You know, I think most of you know the movie where you find the people who know nothing, the people who disappear, and the ones who try to take the credit, but there is a leader who is behind success. And the second one, which is about financial value, okay, now this is a serious quote by Jeff Bezos. Okay, he made a lot of money, worked very hard for it. Now, he's speaking about making decisions. If you as a leader, if you want to make a decision and you wait until you have 90% of the information, it's too late. You have to do with 70% of information. But this means some of your decisions will not be correct. Yes, you have to have the capability to correct quickly. This is much better. Nowadays, being agile, being fast, being nimble is much more important than being extremely thorough, because there's no time. We have to move ahead quickly. And the third thing is about business model. And here I like 2 quotes from the late Jack Welch, which is very famous. If the rate of change is outside the organization exceeds the rate of change in the organization, the end is near. This means the model we have today that got us here cannot get us to the next 5 or 10 years. we have to continuously rebuild our framework and our model. And also, and he said this a long time before, that biggest opportunity for, he said big companies, now it's for all companies, for government, is what? Digitization. Any model which we will build nowadays, if it is not digitized, then it's not a properly working model. And then stakeholder management. Now, I love this. This is also, I think he was replaced, Jeff Weiner, as Lincoln CEO. But in one of their studies, which included 100 cities, 400 skills in the States, and they have the big data, the real data. This is not opinion, this is built on facts. They found out that the #1 skills gap is interpersonal skills, communication, and collaboration. This is very important. And this is what gets us to do proper stakeholder management. This is why I love stakeholder management. You find it in all models, all frameworks, in project, program, portfolio, strategy realization, benefit management, and what not. Then culture evolution. Culture. The way organizations make their decisions. Okay, this is the culture. And we need to endorse a culture of learning and agility. We need to learn and we need to change. Change does not come from outside, it has to come from within. How will we change if we don't enhance our knowledge and learn new things and look how others succeeded? Then design the framework that fits us. Also, we have to endorse a culture of failing fast. Failing fast. Now, Dori, she says, if it does not work, it's not failure, it's data. Very interesting. Okay, just like Edison, when they asked him, how come you had the sustainability and the stamina to persist on trying to make a lamp when you failed 5,000 or 6,000 times? He said, I never failed one single time. I learned 5,000 or 6,000 times how not to do it until I discovered how to do it right. So failing, now when we talk about a culture that endorses failing fast, this means as a CEO, as a leader, you cannot blame people if they try and fail. You blame them if they are lazy. If they do not try, if they will try, they will fail. Nobody just succeeds from the first time. It does not happen. Our world does not work like this. We have to fail, then fail, then fail, then fail very well, okay? Then endorse failing, and with the learning we collect, then we will succeed. We don't succeed by chance. And from this movie, Up in the Air, okay, I like this picture because it shows us how he changed the large, heavy bag with lots of overhead, not necessarily overhead, with the small, agile kit. And this is how our organization should be. And of course, COVID-19 got us to be humble and have compassion. This is something maybe not, some organizations used to think about it before, but not too many. Now, everybody, I believe, is going into this culture, endorsing the culture of compassion. And finally, be happy. Okay? Why do we work? Okay? Why do we? To benefit ourselves, our families, our communities. We should enjoy it. It should not be stress. It should be the thing that gets us to be happy. If not, then maybe we need to change what we are doing. Then employee engagement, okay? And our friend Simon Sinek, I love lots of the things this guy said. We learn a lot from him, especially the why. He's speaking about a team. It's not a group of people that work together. It's a group of people that trust each other. Trust is very, very vital, very important. We can speak ages about these things. And the last one, tracking performance. Okay, I go back to my friend Antonio and the co-founder for Strategy Implementation Institute, Robin Speculin. They say you can outsource the crafting of the strategy, but you cannot outsource the implementation. And this is very vital. Many of the strategies for large and government organizations were done by organizations that are international. And this is not bad. Okay, they brought lots of knowledge with them. But to actually realize it We have to build the capabilities and the capacities inside and be self-reliant. And this is how we can realize the strategy. So to recap, tonight we spoke about several systems. We spoke about the agile organizational development framework. We spoke about benefit realization management. We spoke about portfolio life cycle. We spoke highly about OPM3 or assessment. And we spoke about strategy implementation roadmap. And before we finish, allow me just I took the approval from GDA to announce advisors webinars every Wednesday. Tomorrow we will have a session with Dr. Sean Regan on opportunities in complex or crisis situation. And the next Wednesday we have a very interesting webinar, Beyond Making Do, taking the project model review to next level in time of COVID-19 using AI, augmented reality, and virtual reality, which I believe is very essential nowadays because we cannot get all the teams to be in one place. So these people know how to do it from multiple locations. Jeff LaFrance is joining us from Canada for this, whereas Sean from the States. And by doing that, I would like to open the door for questions and answers. I'd like to apologize again for Imad. Imad, you gave me until 8:40, now it is 8:51.
Okay, Dr. Saadi, thank you very much.
Thank you
for the rich, and I can say as well, the informative presentation that has covered more than one field, mashallah. I can say it is really an integration management part today that we have seen from your side. I have lots of questions that I thought to ask you, but due to some questions that I have received, and due to the short time that we have, if you don't mind, Dr. Saadi, I will go straight to those questions. I will start first with Edward Fernandini, who is the BMO manager. He's asking, thank you for this webinar. It is a master class. Please, could you mention a methodology for prioritization projects? AHP is the most recommended. Please, if you don't mind, Dr. Saadi, I wish that you have brief answer for each question because we have other questions waiting as well.
Okay. Now, in terms of when we say methodology is something that fits a specific organization, which means we take an international standard based on the objectives, on the culture, on the resources, on the industry, on the way they operate. We devise a methodology. So in terms of prioritization, maybe we can look at specific things if you're working in the telecommunication, which are totally different than if you're working in the oil and gas sector. Okay, so I cannot recommend a methodology. Nevertheless, I believe you need to focus on portfolio management. If you have a look at the standard for portfolio management, revision 4, it contains a huge lot of interesting knowledge by PMI. You can utilize it, and it will help you develop a weighing scoring criteria for to prioritize your objectives.
Dalal Al-Gahtani is raising a question. Does not the assessment here related to quality and risk in somehow?
Of course. Now, when I started to develop this webinar, I started by collecting types of assessment, and I had over 25 different types of assessment, maybe even 30. But I said, no, I want to focus on strategy realization because that will be too much technical. So when we talk about this, there are lots of aspects in terms of assessment. It depends on the need of each organization. You can conduct an enterprise risk management assessment. You can conduct a quality management assessment, a quality audit, quality assurance assessment, whereas quality control is very much tied to the technicalities within each organization.
I have another question from Nabil Farhat Talib. What is the most developed concept in addition between a strategic vision and visionary strategy.
Okay, between visionary strategy and the strategic vision. I humbly say, my friend, I have absolutely no idea. Okay, I'm gonna pass this question because I don't understand it. Okay.
Okay, maybe we'll come back to it later. We'll try to digest that question. And please, Nabil, if you could clarify further, we can come back to your question as well.
Yes.
If we come to Lily Hamouche, how do you change that culture of organizations that fall into the trap of using the same practices?
Okay. This is very common. Very common. Why? Because whenever we have, whether it is a new strategy or a problem, we tend to rely on what we have inside. And this is a common problem amongst all organizations. Now, luckily, the strategy implementation framework actually addresses this specific common problem. And it requires, first of all, to provide more awareness, more knowledge. Do you know that the average top CEO, how many books or articles they read every month? They have to have new knowledge all the time. They have to look at other organizations. They have to do benchmarking. They have to see the big fours or the international companies, their reports, what they are saying. They have to have a futuristic look in order to be able to transform the organization and get new blood and new concepts to it. Otherwise, the same organization, there was a famous saying, I think by Einstein. He said once, we cannot solve the problem with the same mentality that we used to craft the question, okay, to identify it. Okay, we have to build a new capability or capacity, and this is highly contextual.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Saadi. I have another question, and this question is coming from Raj Hajariya, who is the technical manager of the GDA, is our colleague.
Okay, welcome, Raj.
And the question is, a great presentation and talk by Dr. Saadi, bringing all critical elements of success together in a simplistic way. My question, is there a published report on the OPM maturity levels of different organizations assessed by advisors, similar to Gartner Magic Quadrant?
Okay. Now, first of all, advisors is not Gartner. Okay, we did several assessments. One of them for nuclear power, some of them for telecommunication, some of them for oil and gas, EPC, some of them for investment organizations, security, and so on. So we are not listed like Gartner to have that much. I hope that advisors in time could be listed, and we have such figures, numbers, and credentials. Nevertheless, the people, when you talk, for example, about OPM3, we worked with Claudia Baca, the mother of OPM3, the one who certified all the over 100 assessors in the world. We worked together with her, and we did benchmarking based on the same organization. Okay, this is what I can tell you.
Okay, there is a question from our colleague also, Wilbert Magwaza. Which is the best time to do improvements in the project life cycle? Are there any best practices which limit the improvements to certain stages?
Okay, to do improvement in the project life cycle. Now, this is a complex question. I have to cut it into two. Are we talking about a specific project or about projects in an organization? If you are talking about a specific project, then the best time to improve is before we start. And in highly advanced and mature organizations like Aramco, you have these 7 phases and stage gates, and you spend a lot of time before actually awarding a project to contractors. Okay, You spend years sometimes. In many organizations, they say, no, let's start quickly as possible, and they skip the feasibility or detailed feasibility, detailed study, and so on. This is why you have something called FEED, for example, within your life cycle. So the best thing, whatever you do right in the initiation, you're not gonna exceed it later on. So the performance measured during initiation, you will have like it, similar or less, but not more. So if you have to do enhancements, do not go into execution before perfecting things before, okay? Whereas if you are talking about generally projects for a specific organization, then we need to go back to all the frameworks we spoke about. We need to look at integration with operations, with top management. We need to look about the maturity of the processes, the skill set of the leaders, of the people, of the culture, and so on.
Okay, Dr. Saadi, I have another question from Sergey Goncharov.
Okay.
Thank you very much. How do you use OPM3 approach while PMI has stopped to support the product suite and best practices? How it is possible to do rigorous assessment?
Very interesting question. Now, when we used to use OPM3, we did not rely only on product suite, okay? Product suite includes databases for best practices and 800 questions. We discovered when we started to conduct assessment, me and Claudia, that the best thing is not to ask a question like an interrogation, but ask open-ended questions and let the person in front of us tell us their story in their own words. And based on the story, we define certain keywords and we drill on them, okay? So when we worked on OPM3, our reliance was not basically, ultimately on product suite. Mainly, product suite does not do improvement. It's just about the assessment itself, okay? Now you have systems like EFQM and other assessment systems, P3O. They are, not all of them are linked to specific best practices. So the soul or the concept behind OPM3 is still valid. It's still found in the foundation book, which you can download if you are a member, or you can purchase from PMI bookstore when it opens. So it's still valid, but the specific link to specific processes, this is something we update based on the latest standards. And in many cases, you'll find out that the problem, it's not about doing the best, for example, plan, because the best plan will not be executed as it was set. We have to be agile. Maybe the problem is in the support. Maybe the problem is from technical division. Maybe problem is from finance. Maybe problem is from learning and development. Maybe problem is from top management not providing enough authority or proper governance to succeed in the various activities of a project or a program. And these concepts are global concepts, that they are still valid. So we are not using product suite anymore. I don't use the term OPM3 a lot nowadays because of PMI stopped to support the certification. Nevertheless, the standard is still there. The framework is still very much valid. Looking for corroboration is a global concept. For example, evidence-based is a global concept. Yes.
Okay, maybe talking about this topic, Dr. Saadi brought in my mind just now an item about the successful implementation of OPM program. As you know, I think this requires or needs a big buy-in by the senior management. In your own view or experience, how did you see the role and the real engagement by the senior management in driving towards implementing an OPM program within any corporation?
Okay, very interesting question. I had a part that I removed so that we don't make this lengthy, which is called "It Takes Two to Tango." Okay, it's a small story about a sponsor and the project manager. And it shows that, and this is based by statistics, that 80% of success or failure goes back to the sponsor, not to the project manager. Why? Because the sponsor, he has access, sponsor or sponsorship. Could be a person, could be a committee. They have access to resources. They have access to funds. They have access to people. They have access to partners. And if they stop or access to a certain project, no matter how good the project manager is, he will not succeed. So the keys are in the hand of top management. This is where we should start. In many cases, I'm asked to assist organizations based on middle management requests. I always try to target top management. If we do not succeed in speaking to them and trying to convince them, we apologize because we will not succeed. Okay? They have the keys. So it always starts from the top. There is a great leader behind every successful organization. And they are great because they bring on great people like them. And most of the times they bring people who understand more than them with various aspects, but they know how to get them to work together. Like this Chinese guy, Alibaba, Spa. Yeah, he says, I don't know about internet. I don't know, but I bring good people. And the hard thing is to get them to speak together, because quality high, good people, they are like tigers, they fight together. If I can get them to speak together, problem solved. They will build a great organization. This is the real challenge.
Dr. Saadi, maybe we'll take only maximum 5, if more than 5, we'll take not more than 10 minutes, because I have so many questions. We are trying to entertain some. Tariq Haraki is asking, what do you think about portfolio management?
Yes, Tariq Al-Haraki, I know Tariq, I think he's from UAE, okay? Hello Tariq, how are you? Now, portfolio management is very important. It's vital, okay? But in the right hands, understanding what portfolio management is, learning about it and learning how to actually to execute it properly. Again, as I said, it is not a collection of projects and programs, no, okay? It is a discipline to realize the strategy. It does not go into the details. It relies on project managers and program managers to execute. Its role is to look at the strategy, make sure there's alignment, provide the needed resources, make sure sponsorship is working right for them, and eventually killing certain projects and programs because they look at the whole environment, okay, not this specific project, the benefit of the whole. Yes.
Okay, I have a question from, I think, a lady that we are proud of, who is Faiza Habib.
Faiza, my dear, how are you? Faiza is a very nice person.
I thought this is Faiza Habili.
Habib, okay.
Habib. But okay. It is the same definitely to applies to Faiza as well.
Welcome, Faiza.
Okay. She's just saying great word about you. She's saying thanks a lot, Dr. Saadi. Great presentation. I have enjoyed it very much. Nawaf Al-Ahmadi saying thanks, Imad and Dr. Saadi. Do you think that organizational change readiness as a
I think, sorry, I think there is a problem with the net. I did not
again saying, thanks, Imad and Dr. Saadi. Do you think that organizational change readiness is or as a vital factor for OBM or toward OBM?
Okay. Welcome, my friend Nawaf. Nawaf is also a dear friend, and he is a soldier behind many of the successful PMI events in Saudi Arabia. Now, yes, organizational readiness is very important. Why? When you attempt to do too much and people in an organization are not ready, you will fail. So any transformation, any change, and we're talking about transformation and change, okay? Especially with regard to culture and to business models and frameworks. Any one of these, if one to attempt to do it, make a test before. make a probe. And this probe is an assessment called organizational readiness. Now, organizational readiness will tell you, yes, you can start, but you need to take care of A, B, and C. So it will help you craft the right improvement, or it might tell you, no, you should wait. Okay, now is not the right time to do this type of move, for example. So yes, it is important and essential.
Okay, Eid Al-Juaid is saying SWOT analysis is one of the best to do assessment and build a strategy. What do you think, Doctor?
SWOT analysis is essential to build the strategy. I totally agree.
Do you hear me?
Now, one thing, yes, I hear you. One thing, tonight was not about building the strategy at all. Okay? We did not define the strategy. We did not define the KPIs. We did not utilize the balanced scorecard. Okay? We started with an organization that has a strategy, and our objective was to realize the strategy. Now, if our focus was on actually crafting the strategy itself, then there is another framework or two that we should add to this session tonight. So yes, I agree, SWOT analysis is very important. It gives you an excellent visibility in record time. But of course, it's not enough by itself. It's very important to get market reports. Understand.
Okay, Mahmoud Mansi is saying, from your experience, how agile program management, BGMO, program management office, is seen in the GCC market? Is it still a sellable approach in the market?
Okay. Now, one thing, when we talk about agile, we have to differentiate between two things. Agile as a methodology, Scrum, for example, sprints to develop software application. This is the standard nowadays everywhere in the world. So if you have an organization that focuses on producing software or technology, you have to adopt agile methodologies, and your PMO or program management office would adopt these methodologies, no questions. Now, when you go to the big picture, when you go to other organizations like oil and gas, telecommunication, government, etc., you don't expect that the CEO would become a Scrum Master or understand what sprints are. Nevertheless, we adopt the core concepts of Agile within what we call as an Agile organization. Even we refer to the Agile Manifesto by doing things quickly, not waiting to perfect things, but doing things quickly, trying to test them, fail fast, and learn from your failures, okay? By trying to build autonomous teams, by becoming closer to the market. There's something called centricity, closer to the client, centricity on the client, okay? All your decisions should be there to serve your client. All these concepts, they are found within the strategy implementation roadmap, and also within the Agile organization development framework. Okay, we built them on these Agile concepts, and we believe this is what makes an Agile organization, starting with a leader who knows how to adapt quickly, as Jeff Bezos said.
And I wish also our colleagues will be patient for these two questions. Syed Hassan saying, thanks for the great presentation, Dr. Saadi. How do you manage cultural change management in an organization, and specific to many employee cultures in an organization in Middle East?
First of all, hello, Syed. Syed is my friend. We worked together for over 10 years in my past company. Now, managing the culture is one of the hardest things. You know, Peter Drucker, or who said culture eats strategy for breakfast. Now Antonio and Robin, they're saying no, strategy eats culture for breakfast, because we have to change, we have to adopt strategies and change the way we think and the way we adopt and adapt quickly, or we will perish. Okay? What good is the culture if it kills the organization? So eventually, the organizations that are sustaining are the ones who have capabilities to change their culture and adapt quickly. And listen, culture is not something that will stay with you for 5 or 10 years. It's gonna change. Why? Because our strategy is changing. We are adopting. Look at our culture today. All the organizations adopted to working virtually in how much? 3 months. This is a major cultural change in the way organizations operate. Do you think if we asked any CEO 3 or 4 or 6 months before, let us move people, let them work from home, and let us go all virtual, would they accept? I bet no. Most of them would not. Now we have to, okay? And we have to excel in doing it. And we have to do it quickly. Isn't this a major cultural change that we succeeded to a certain extent? And I believe we need to work even more on it and succeed even more. We have to get our culture, organizational culture. Now, one thing, differentiate these between culture and values. We never change our values of integrity, of compassion, and so on. These are fixated, okay? But the organizational cultures, the way organizations behave or think or do not adapt or adopt, these things are changing now quickly.
Okay, the last question of 2 folks.
Okay.
From Al-Ahdal, how can put a methodology of calculation, the weight for each project to affect the KPI? I will read it again. How can we put a methodology of calculation, the weight for each project to affect the KPI?
Let me answer this, please, before the second part. Okay. Within portfolio management, we select specific criteria. And this criteria, the important things to measure projects upon. For example, their alignment to strategy. You might have 2 projects, okay? One will help you realize the strategy more than the other. It takes more weight. The budget, because we are always constrained with the budget. The lesser it takes the budget, the more score it takes. The risk, the higher the risk, the lesser the weight it takes. Then there are other aspects as well that are crafted based on the need of every organization. So we collect certain factors, could be from 5 to 10, and we measure or assess all the 100 projects on these weights, on these factors, sorry, and we might give them weights, okay? Maybe in some organizations, they give a big weight to risk. Other organizations give more weight to budget. Some organizations, no, they give the highest weight to strategy alignment, okay? This would reflect the way the board makes decisions. Based on it, we decide on the weights and we do the scoring and we discover the projects that will win and the projects that will lose, okay? And it's a beautiful framework in portfolio management because it will never be biased by the opinion of any person. We will have a standard and the standard applies to all. Then we get all the projects within the portfolio after they are prioritized to the board and they will make the award or the selection of which ones to start or which ones to put on hold.
I don't know if this is the last or the one before the last.
Okay.
It's from Asma Usman. She's saying, in managing portfolios, does BMO is responsible or is BMO responsible for operations management beside the programs and projects?
Oh, very tough question. Very important. Of course, the PMO is not responsible for operation. Nevertheless, if operation do not collaborate, we will not succeed. And this goes to the mandate of how we craft or initiate our PMO. Whenever you want to establish or reinvent your PMO, make sure that the value proposition of the PMO is very clear, that it is accepted, that it serves the divisions and operations of the organization. We have to work with them. We cannot enter an organization and be looked as the enemy. This is wrong. We should be both parts of the same thing, projects and operations. Of course, we are not responsible for operational performance. Nevertheless, whenever we do transformational programs aim towards sustainability by enhancing the operation from state A to state B. And in this way, projects will help operations to achieve operational excellence. But to have this concept I'm speaking about, you have to have leaders that are aware, that are convinced, that would endorse the project-driven discipline very well.
Okay, Dr. Saadi, because we brought the word leaders, if I recall, Mr. Mark Langley, when he was in Davos in 2018, there was a panel actually about how we can close the expensive and unproductive gap between strategy development and its delivery. And I remember he was saying the dreamers, or I mean those that craft or develop strategies, need weavers, زي الخياطين. Those weavers are actually they are project managers.
Yes.
Do you really these days have competent project managers that help to achieve strategies? What is your review?
Well, there are lots of competent project managers, and there are lots of competent leaders. The successful organization will have both. Okay, when you have both, when you have this visionary leader, maybe going back to the visionary strategy, okay, this visionary leader who is modest and humble, as the book From Good to Great says, okay, level 5 leadership, a leader that produces a leader who's not afraid to bring people who are more powerful than him in their specific areas, okay, and get them to work together. Then you can craft a strategy that you can actually realize, okay? And also, come in, you should craft a strategy based on the size, the volume, the constraints, the budget of your organization. Don't bite more than what you can chew.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saadi. Definitely, I have been honored today to have this interaction with you in person. At the same time, I need to thank advisors for the collaborative efforts that we have been doing together with the Gulf Downstream Association. At the same time, I would like to thank our colleagues and audience who have shared part of their priceless time to join, and I hope they have enjoyed this interactive webinar. Again, thank you very much. Have a good day for all, and مع السلامة.
Thank you very much, my dear friend Ayman. We are very pleased and honored as myself and as advisors. And also, I believe a big thank you from all the audience for giving us the opportunity to collaborate and to speak tonight together. I hope we have, inshallah, future collaborations that are successful.
Shukran again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Ma salam.